Okay, let's get into your reading, Sagittarius. Okay, I feel like someone is quite quiet towards you. They're sort of keeping things to themselves. They're weighing up things in their life. They're focusing on themselves. Their real focus and energy is mainly on themselves, their own life, and what they are doing. So this is the Temperance energy here. They are so heavily focused on themselves, and you feel confused because this person showed you a lot of attention or words or communication once upon a time, and now there is just crickets. And the Temperance card shows an angel standing with 1 foot on land and 1 foot in the water, okay, pouring liquid slowly between 2 cups, a path leading up to a rising sun behind them. And it's the card of balance, of patience, of someone taking their time to get the mix of their life exactly right. And I want you to hold on to that image, okay? Because it reframes the whole silence right from the start. This person isn't pouring nothing. They're pouring inward. All that careful, patient energy that used to flow toward you is currently being poured into steadying their own life. And that's a very different thing from them not caring. There's an energy here of just feeling like they are so silent, and it really sort of upsets you and overwhelms you and frustrates you all at the same time. You're just like, you were putting in so much effort and so much work. Like, why? You know, you're just confused as to why this person isn't doing anything much towards you, because they showed you so much consistency and effort at one point. And I want to really name that whiplash, okay? Because it's one of the most disorienting feelings there is. It's not that they were never interested. If they'd been cold from the start, you could file it away easily. It's that they were warm, consistent, putting in real effort, and then it stopped. And that contrast is exactly what's got your mind spinning, because it doesn't add up with the person they showed you they were. They were really taking initiative or even spending money and taking time, right? Like, time is also really important. It's not just about money. And so the Knight of Wands here shows, right? They were physically really attracted to you. There could have been intimacy or just conversations that made you feel like this person was into you, and then nothing, you know, and you just think to yourself, like, hang on a second. Like, why are they not saying anything right now? Why have they pulled away? Why is there this energy of limbo? And the Knight of Wands is shown charging on horseback, okay? Armor patterned with salamanders, the horse rearing up mid-motion, the whole card leaning forward with heat and desire and momentum. And it's the card of passion, of physical attraction, of someone who acts on fire when they feel it. So notice what that card is confirming, okay? The effort you experienced was real. The attraction was real. The into you energy was real. You did not misread it. You did not make it up. The Knight of Wands doesn't ride out for someone he feels nothing for, which means the pulling away that followed is a change in circumstance, not a correction of some mistake you made. Why are they not being so proactive or moving things along? Why are they not doing much? Like, what in the world is actually going on here, you know? And you feel really frustrated and really aggravated and really sad. And it's definitely very sad, because the Strength card here is really powerful. They are trying to get themselves to be stronger. This person right now is quite weak from what I'm seeing here. They don't feel like themselves. They feel really depleted in energy. They feel really overwhelmed. They feel really sad. And the Strength card shows a woman gently closing the jaws of a lion, okay? Not by force, but with calm, patient hands, an infinity symbol glowing above her head. And it's the card of inner strength, of quiet courage, of mastering something powerful through gentleness rather than struggle. And here's what's poignant about it showing up for them, okay? It's showing up because they don't have it right now. The card appears as the thing they're reaching for, the strength they're trying to build, the steadiness they've lost. And that tells you something important. This person isn't quiet because they're powerful and above it all. They're quiet because they're depleted and trying to gather themselves back together. And I want to add something about why depletion causes silence specifically, okay? Because it's not obvious. When a person is running on empty, communication is one of the first things to go. Not because they've stopped caring, but because reaching out, showing up, being emotionally present all take energy they simply don't have right now. Think of it like a phone on 2% battery, okay? It's not that the phone doesn't want to work. It's that it goes into low power mode, shuts down everything non-essential, and just tries to keep itself alive. And that's this person. They've gone into emotional low power mode, and the connection with you got switched off not because it didn't matter, but because they had nothing left to power it with. They see you as much, much stronger than them. They see you as someone very powerful. You've got a lot of energy. You know what you want out of life. You know your boundaries. You have faith. You are spiritual. You are strong. Like you know what you want, right? And they just are thinking to themselves, I don't really know what I want. Like I am all over the place. I'm confused. I'm, feeling immature. I'm feeling weak. I'm feeling this. I don't know what to do. And every time I try to do something, it doesn't work out. And I want to sit with that contrast for a moment, okay? Because it's the emotional core of why they went quiet. They look at you and they see everything they wish they had right now. The clarity, the boundaries, the faith, the strength. And they look at themselves and they see confusion and depletion. And when someone feels that gap, that sense of not measuring up to the person they're drawn to, it can actually make them pull back because they don't feel like they have anything solid to offer from where they're standing. And so they basically just need a dose of strength, okay? And that is what I'm seeing here with the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles. They're keeping to themselves because they're trying to work on money issues, career. They're trying to work on career. They're trying to work on their finances. They're trying to work on themselves. They're trying to get themselves together. They're trying to do what feels good for them. And they're trying to focus completely on themselves. And the Four of Pentacles shows a figure seated, okay, clutching one coin tightly to their chest, one balanced on their head, one under each foot, holding on to everything they've got with a firm protective grip. And it's often a card of guarding your resources, of security, of pulling everything close and focusing hard on stability. And in this reading, it's showing you exactly where their energy is going, okay? Into money, into career, into building a foundation under themselves. And I want you to hear that as information, not rejection, because a person heads down on their finances and their stability isn't necessarily choosing against you. They're often trying to get solid enough to feel worthy of showing up at all, from what I'm seeing here. They just feel so overwhelmed and so overworked and so stressed out, especially here with the Eight of Wands. They're really just trying to focus on themselves and get themselves together and feel good internally within themselves. And the Eight of Wands shows 8 staves flying through the open air, okay? All parallel, all moving fast in the same direction, no obstacles in their path. And it's usually the card of things speeding up, of momentum, of a rush of movement all at once. And here it's showing you the sheer volume of what they're juggling, okay? Everything moving fast, everything happening at once, their whole inner world in rapid motion as they try to sort themselves out, which is part of why there's nothing left over flowing towards you right now. All their wands are already in the air, especially with the Six of Wands. There's just this really powerful energy where they want to come towards you, but then they get really stuck and overwhelmed. Eventually, they will come towards you and they will take action. because we've got here this energy of commitment and being present. So whatever this person is not saying to you right now, they will actually say to you eventually. They are going to come forward. And the Six of Wands shows a rider on a white horse, okay? A laurel wreath of victory on their head, a crowd walking alongside them, another wreath raised on their staff. And it's the card of victory, of public success, of riding home having won, of recognition and arrival. And I want you to really register what it means that this card sits over there coming toward you, okay? Because it tells you how they want to arrive, not sheepishly, not half-heartedly. The Six of Wands wants to come to you as someone who has sorted themselves out, who has something to show for the time away, who arrives having actually won the internal battle they're in the middle of right now. And that's worth the wait, because a person who arrives from Six of Wands arrives steadier than the one who pulled away. There's just a bit of this sort of energy of things being stuck. It's a bit like, okay, if you have a pipe and it's just blocked with something, there's that kind of energy that's coming through. And once we clear the pipe, things are just moving and flowing rather well. And so that's what I'm seeing here. And I love that pipe image, okay? Because it captures something true about this person's silence. The water is there, the feeling is there, the wanting to come toward you is there. It's not absent, it's blocked. And a blockage is a completely different situation from an empty pipe, because once the thing causing the block gets cleared out, everything that was building up behind it comes rushing through at once. And I want you to really hold that distinction, okay, between blocked and empty, because it changes how you wait. If the pipe were empty, waiting would be pointless. You'd just be staring at a dry pipe, hoping water appears from nowhere. But a blocked pipe has full pressure behind the blockage, building the whole time. And the only question is when the block clears. And the cards have told you what the block is, okay? It's their depletion. And it's those negative voices. Both of those are temporary. The depletion lifts as they rebuild. The voices lose their grip as this person wakes up to them. And when both of those clear, everything that's been building behind them flows toward you all at once, especially with the Three of Cups. I feel like this person, there's this like sticky, overwhelming kind of energy, and they need water to kind of like clear that sticky energy, wash out that, that energy, because we've got here the Chariot. And the Three of Cups shows three figures raising their cups together in a circle, okay, mid-celebration, surrounded by a harvest. And it's usually a card of friendship, of community, of the people around you. And hold on to that, because the Three of Cups is going to come back later in this reading and tell us something very specific about the people around this person. And the Chariot shows a figure standing in a chariot pulled by two sphinxes, okay, one black and one white, driving forward through sheer control and will. And it's the card of forward motion, of pushing through, of taking the reins, and moving decisively in one direction. So let's have a little bit more of a look into things. I'm going to grab another deck of cards just to like really take a look at that, because I can see here that they're clearly going to come towards you. I can see here, right? Obviously right now they're focusing on multiple other things, but look at that Ten of Pentacles. They are going to approach you. They're going to come to you. They're going to want to make things work with you. And the Ten of Pentacles shows 3 generations of a family together under a grand archway, okay? An old man with his dogs, a couple, a child, the family crest carved into the stone, coins arranged across the whole image. And it's the card of legacy, of lasting foundations, of long-term security, and building something that endures. And I want you to notice how significant it is, okay, that this is the card for how they approach you. It's not a fling card. It's not a casual card. The Ten of Pentacles is one of the most long-term, settled, building a future cards in the entire deck. So when they do come toward you, the energy behind it is the lasting kind, not the passing kind. Look at that Six of Pentacles. They're going to talk to you. Whatever they are not saying right now, they are going to express to you and explain to you and make things happen with you and to you. Okay. And the Six of Pentacles shows a robed figure holding a balanced set of scales, okay, dropping coins into the open hands of two people kneeling before them. And it's the card of giving and receiving, of generosity, of a fair and open exchange flowing between people. And here it's confirming the communication is coming, okay? The giving back is coming. The exchange that's been so one-sided lately, where you gave and got crickets, is going to rebalance, and this person is going to start actually putting something back into the connection instead of only taking the quiet. Okay, we have Magician. The Magician, Mercury, planet of communication. I'm telling you, okay, when I say things, I really mean it. When I see things on the cards always reflect what I say, because to be honest, that is how I work as a reader. And it's nice for you to be able to see that. Look at this, right? I said Mercury, and the Magician stands at his table with all four suits laid before him. Okay, one hand raised to the sky and one pointing to the earth, the infinity symbol above his head. And he is the card of manifestation, of will turning into reality, and above all here, of communication. Since he's ruled by Mercury, the planet of the mind and the message. So who came out? The Hermit. Mercury. The Hermit. Hermit is ruled by Virgo. Virgo's ruling planet is Mercury. This is very, very powerful, because this just goes to show they're going to absolutely communicate with you and contact you and progress towards you. And the Hermit stands alone on a snowy peak, okay, holding up a lantern with a single glowing star inside it, a staff in his other hand. And it's the card of withdrawal, of going inward, of stepping back from the world to find something out in solitude. And I want to name why it's so fitting that the Hermit appears right here, okay? Because it describes this whole phase perfectly. This person has gone into their cave. They've withdrawn. They're on the mountain alone with their lantern, working things out. But the Hermit never stays on the mountain forever. The whole point of his journey is that he goes inward to find his light, and then he comes back down to share it. The withdrawal is a phase, not a permanent address. So let's have a look and see, regarding what they've been struggling with, what is going to happen there. Three of Cups. The Three of Cups. So second time we got the Three of Cups. Okay, so they've just been feeling overwhelmed. I feel like there's been someone jealous around them. Like someone very jealous, envious, someone who's always telling them what to do. And so they've been under the influence basically of like very jealous people, jealous friends, people that never really mean well. But these people can be like, you should do this and you should do that. And like, don't date or don't see people, just focus on yourself, be independent. Like, why do you need to depend on others? And now I want to come back to what I said earlier, okay, about the Three of Cups being the people around you card. This is why it came up twice. The first time it was pointing at a sticky energy that needed clearing. And now the second time, it's naming exactly what that sticky energy is. It's other people. It's the crowd around this person, the friends, the voices in their ear. They are around this kind of person, okay? It could be a friend, could be a coworker, could be someone in their family, but there's someone here that's just influencing them and sort of de-influencing them from being in a romantic connection and sort of just focusing on themselves. And that's why this person started to pull away from you, right? They've just been under the influence of someone quite negative. And I want to pause here because this reframes everything, okay? And it's probably the single most important thing in this whole reading. The pulling away was never really about you. It wasn't that you did something wrong. It wasn't that their feelings vanished. There were voices in their ear talking them out of it, telling them to stay single, telling them not to need anyone, telling them romance was a distraction from themselves. And when someone's in a depleted, uncertain place, okay, like the Strength card showed us they're much more vulnerable to that kind of influence. A person who's sure of themselves shrugs off bad advice. A person who's confused and overwhelmed reaches for whatever voices sound confident, even when those voices don't have their best interests at heart. And so now they're starting to realize, hang on a second, those people don't mean well. They'll realize their life doesn't feel great when they listen to those people. Remember, it takes time. When we try to follow some kind of advice, it takes time for us to see those results of what that actually has brought and what it hasn't. And so now this person has realized, hang on a second, this doesn't actually make me feel great. Like, you're telling me to be single and I don't feel great being single. And so now they're realizing, hang on a second, this person is not really telling me the right thing. So I am just going to do what I want to do. And then boom, they come towards you. Okay, boom, they come towards you. They contact you. They progress towards you. And I want to sit with that realization arc for a second, okay? Because it's actually a healthy and hopeful thing to witness. This person is learning something. They tried following the advice to isolate, to stay single, to wall themselves off, and they discovered through living it that it made them miserable. And that lesson, learned the hard way, tends to stick because nothing teaches you what you want quite like trying the opposite and feeling how wrong it fits. I feel like there's more than one, okay? I feel like there's a little posy of people here that are kind of doing this, and it's not really nice, and it's really aggravated your person because they really listened to this person or people and started kind of doing what they were saying and realized, actually, you know what? I'm not that happy. I'm not that happy being single, and independent. I actually do want a relationship and I do want to progress things. I do want happiness. I do want love. And you're telling me not to do all of that. But then, they were listening to that and now they realize, hang on a second, I need to listen to myself is what they're going to be thinking. So that is really what we have here. It's a very powerful energy in that sense. And it is significant, right? Super, super significant. And I want to speak to what this means for you, okay? Because there's a temptation to hear all of this and feel angry at these people or anxious about their influence. And I understand that. But here's the thing to hold on to. You don't actually have to do anything about them. The reading is showing that this person is waking up to it on their own, in their own time, through their own lived experience of being unhappy. That's a realization no outside voice forced on them, which is exactly why it'll hold. And I want to name why realizations like this are so durable, okay? Because it matters for what's coming. There are two ways a person changes their mind. One is when someone argues them into it, and that kind never lasts. Because the moment a louder voice comes along, they change their mind right back. And the other way is when life itself teaches them, when they try something and feel with their own body how wrong it was for them. And that second kind is permanent, okay? Because you can't argue someone out of their own lived experience. This person followed the advice to isolate, and they lived the emptiness of it. Nobody had to convince them it felt bad. They felt it. And a lesson learned in the body like that doesn't get unlearned the next time someone tells them to stay single. So I thought we'd look at a message card here. I'm not used to the love you give me. So we have I'm not used to the love you give me. So yeah, they haven't been used to like having someone that does so much, gives so much, is so emotionally expressive. So that also kind of overwhelmed them. And I want to slow all the way down on this message, okay? Because it's the tender heart of the whole reading and it deserves more than a passing line. I'm not used to the love you give me. Sit with that. Because what it tells you, okay, is that your love wasn't too little. It was more than they'd ever received before. You were consistent, expressive, generous, present. And instead of that feeling safe to them, it felt unfamiliar. And unfamiliar can feel overwhelming to someone who's never been loved that well. And I want to be really clear about something, okay? Because you might be tempted to take the wrong lesson from this. The lesson is not that you loved too hard, or that you should dim yourself down, or give less next time. The fact that your love overwhelmed someone who wasn't used to being loved well is not a flaw in your love. It's a sign of how real it was. And I want to go one layer deeper on this, okay? Because there's something worth understanding about people who aren't used to real love. When you've grown up or gone through life receiving love that was inconsistent or conditional or thin, your nervous system actually calibrates to that. The thin version starts to feel normal and safe simply because it's familiar, and then someone like you comes along, okay, and offers the real thing. Full, consistent, expressive, and instead of relief, it can trigger something almost like alarm because it's so unfamiliar that it doesn't compute as safe yet. It computes as too much, as overwhelming, as something they don't have the framework to hold. And that's not a life sentence for them, okay? It's a skill they can learn. People can grow into being able to receive love, and often the person who finally teaches them is exactly the one whose love overwhelmed them at first. So the overwhelm you saw wasn't rejection. It was someone meeting a bigger love than they knew what to do with. And then they kind of thought like, okay, let me listen to, what other people have to say. And those other people were like, no, just be independent and look after yourself, And then they realized, no, actually, I do want love. And they're starting to realize that. And they will tell you that, I'm not used to the kind of love that you give. So picture how those two things collided in them, okay? Because it explains the whole retreat. On one side, you giving them a kind of love they'd never known, which overwhelmed them. And on the other side, a posy of voices telling them to stay independent, to not need anyone, to focus only on themselves. And in a weak, depleted moment, the voices telling them to retreat were easier to follow than the love that asked them to be brave. But that's shifting now, okay? And that's the whole hopeful turn of this reading. They're realizing the independence advice left them empty, and that the love you offered was the thing they actually wanted all along, and were just too unpracticed at receiving to hold on to the first time. And before I close this out, I want to leave a few things to actually hold on to, okay? The silence was never really about you, loves. The Knight of Wands proved the attraction and effort were real. What changed wasn't their feelings, it was a depleted moment plus a group of negative voices talking them out of romance. You didn't do something to cause the pullback, so please stop searching yourself for the crime. The second, they're coming back and the cards were emphatic about it. The Six of Wands, the Ten of Pentacles, the Six of Pentacles, the Magician and the Hermit all pointed at real long-term communication and approach. The pipe is blocked, not empty, and blockage is clear. The third, your love was never too much. The message card said it plainly, I'm not used to the love you give me. That's not a criticism of you, it's a confession of how rare what you offered was. Don't shrink it. Just find someone, whether it's this person or not, who's practiced enough at being loved to actually receive it. And I want to answer one more thing, okay? Why this reached you now with this much specific detail? Because the silence had started to convince you that you'd done something wrong, that your effort was one-sided, that you'd imagined the whole connection and it was real, okay? And the reason it went quiet had far more to do with their depletion and the people whispering in their ear than it ever had to do with you. I don't pull Temperance, the Knight of Wands, Strength, the Four of Pentacles, the Six of Wands, the Ten of Pentacles, the Magician, and the Hermit, and a message card that literally says, I'm not used to the love you give me, all by accident. And I want to speak to the tired, hurt part of you for a second, okay? The one quietly thinking, but if they wanted me, none of that would have stopped them. That voice is holding them to a strength they didn't have. The Strength card showed us they were depleted, not powerful, and depleted people get talked out of good things all the time. It's not proof they didn't want you. It's proof they were struggling. This is already clear, okay? Temperance confirmed they're pouring their energy inward into themselves. The Knight of Wands confirmed the attraction and effort were genuinely real. The Strength and Four of Pentacles confirmed they're depleted, focused on money, career, and rebuilding themselves. The Eight of Wands, Six of Wands, and Chariot confirmed they're overwhelmed but building toward coming forward. The Ten of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, Magician, and Hermit confirmed real long-term communication is coming. The Three of Cups twice confirmed negative, jealous voices pulled them away and that they're waking up to it. And the Message card confirmed the truth. Your love wasn't too little. It was more than they were used to. So let me lay this all out one final time, okay? Slowly, so it actually settles. Someone went quiet on you, okay? After real attraction and real effort. And it wasn't because their feelings disappeared. They're depleted right now, heads down on their money, their career, and rebuilding their own strength. And while they were in that weak place, a group of jealous, negative voices talked them into pulling away and staying independent. And now they're realizing those voices left them empty, that they actually do want love. That your love was real and rare, just more than they were used to. And the cards say clearly they are going to come back and communicate. And your job through all of it is to stay whole, okay? Not to chase, not to shrink your love down, but to keep being the strong, spiritual, boundaried person they already see you as. One message. The pipe is blocked, not empty. Their silence was other people's noise, and underneath it, the water was always flowing toward you. If this resonated, loves, let me know in the comments what hit hardest. I genuinely read every comment, okay? Even the ones I can't always reply to individually. Your story becomes part of the reason this reading keeps finding the next person who needs it too. Like this reading, and make sure that you're subscribed. And I'll see you in the next one, wherever you're watching this from, okay? I want you to actually feel this settle in before you go. You spent this quiet stretch, okay? Probably turning it over and over, wondering what you did, wondering why someone who showed you so much suddenly showed you nothing, wondering if your love had somehow been the problem, and it wasn't, okay? Your love was the rarest thing in this whole story, so rare that someone who'd never been loved that well didn't know how to hold it and let other people's smaller voices talk them out of reaching for it. So don't you dare learn to love smaller from this, okay? The answer was never to give less. The answer is to keep being someone whose love is worth coming back for and to save it for the person, whether it's this one or the next, who has finally learned how to receive it. You were never too much, okay? You were exactly enough and then some. And the coming days are going to start showing you that. Take care of yourself. Bye, loves.